Love and immunity, beloveds, finding peace in the midst of chaos. First thing is to realize that chaos is a state of mind. Peace is a state of mind. Everything is a state of mind, beloveds. And you were fearfully and wonderfully made. There are no problems in the midst of anything but your mind. It says, do not be conformed by the world, but be renewed by your mind. It is basically telling you how to govern yourselves according to the laws of the true land, which is your mental law. There are no problems in a mind that knows I'm consciousness. A mind that knows it is consciousness has no issues, beloveds. Those are just figments of our imagination that the world has programmed us. See, the world has programmed us to believe so many things, beloveds. I tell you, 100% of the things that we believe is true, that we believe is, and I'm not saying that they're not true. I cannot tell you that anything is not true, but the truth of all matter is mind is over matter. So if your mind believes it as a man thinketh, so he is, you're creating some figments of your imagination. You are so powerful. You are powerful enough to create illusions. You are powerful enough to create sickness. You are powerful enough to create death. So this is why it tells you, do not be conformed by the world, but be renewed by my mind. Your mind is complete consciousness. And if my mind is consciousness, beloveds, I'm not creating chaos. I'm not creating sickness. I'm not creating sin. I'm not creating anything. And if my body is a cellular nature, I'm not creating nothing negative, period. And this is how you have to govern yourself according. You got to wake up every day, and remember who you are. Tell them I am sent you. What sent you here? Health sent me here. What sent you here? Existence sent me here. What sent me here? Health. The genetic code of all of existence sent me here. Every day you got to wake up and remember who you are. Tell them who sent you here. Tell all those thoughts, tell all those conformities, tell all those beliefs, tell all that ego that controls every present moment of your day, leading you astray, leading you. Every form of conformity is an egotistical, it's a spell, and it's using you. It's not just using you, it's using you to use other people. It's using you to draw on. As a man thinketh, so he is. So how you going to, whichever you think, you're going to draw that reflection to you as well. So in the midst of chaos, you got to remember who you are. It's a figment of your imagination, beloveds. My mind ain't capable of creating no chaos anymore. I don't use my consciousness against my own sustainability. I came here to give you life and life abundantly. And at every present moment, you got to believe that against all of the adversaries, because there will be many naysayers. Oh, beloveds. All day long, you up against naysayers. All day long, you up against people who don't want to see you in your peace, in your harmony, in your joy, in your goodwill, in your health. And that's where you got to say, tell them who. You telling yourself. It ain't about the world. The world is conformed. The world is living outside of its own mind, its own consciousness, its own state of being. It believes that it has to do things to be healthy, and mind is over matter. It's a fact. It's biological. It's biology. It's science. And yet, there will still be people, naysayers, adversaries. There will still be people telling you that that's not true, and it is biological. There's no other higher truth than mind being over matter, because without the mind, this body would not exist. Without the cells coming first, which is the mind of this body would not exist. And yet many people will still deny that. Many people will still fight you against your own living truth. And this is what you got to understand. In the midst of chaos, Chaos is just a figment of your imagination. And what's happening is that your imagination, which is your conformed mind, is drawing from its cellular memory. You're drawing from those memory cells in your body that have always been programmed in you. Let's keep it real. You've been programmed to think of fear. You've been programmed to think of negative things. Every last one of us, from the day we come out of our mother's womb, in the world's conformity, our foundation of teaching is negative. You teach a cellular nature that is a minority. You teach it is not equal. So just remember, everything is taught to work against you from the day that we come out of our mother's womb. Everything. And this is something we need to understand in the midst of chaos. You've been taught, you've been trained, you've been programmed to have everything work against you. And this is why it tells us in the book of law, do not be conformed. Renew my mind. Why would you renew your mind? Your mind is consciousness. Your mind is not a figment. Your mind is not an imagination if you are renewed in it. It's not the conformity. Conformity can no longer use you. It can no longer spell you. It can no longer put things before you in which confirms exactly to you what you believe to be true. Because even though you believe it to be true, mind is just an imagination. And this is the most beautifulest thing about you and I. God made us fearfully and wonderfully beloveds. And the day that you can stand humbly, righteously, faithfully, victorious, and say, tell him I am sent me, God got you. God got you. Life got you. Health got you. Well-being got you. Everything that God has already given you dominion over. Everything that God has already decreed. Everything that's sovereign inside of a genetic code becomes its own living testament to life and life abundantly. It now has you, because before you was believing you were a race, a sex, a religion, a title, an idol, a false prophet. You were believing you were all those things. And those things, they come with karmic debt, beloveds. Everything that you conform this mind to comes with a karmic debt. This is what the Bible speaks of sin. That's what sin is. Sin is a karmic debt. It is when you take yourself out of your elemental kingdom, not realizing that because you are a living law, you have now broken the law. And that means that you have to pay the price. It's karmic debt. Or in religion, in spirituality, it's called karmic debt. In religion, it's called sin. And this is what you have: a whole world operating, teaching, preaching, belief systems, foundations, structures, schools, religion. You can name every foundation of the world, and it will all be under that conformity: sin, sickness, and death. You preach it, you teach it, it's like nobody has no understanding of life. The power of life and death lives within what you say, what you think. It's a trinity. You are a trinity. And all three of those elements, they must uplift life, not tell you of death, not tell you of sickness, not tell you of sin. So in the midst of all chaos, because you're going to go through it. Hell, you in the foundation that don't do nothing but teach it to you. The day you come out your mother's womb, that's all we taught. We never taught anything of life. We're not taught anything of abundance. We're not taught anything of prosperity. We're not taught anything of well-being. We're not taught about the true substance of life, beloveds. We're just not. And this is something that many need to comprehend. In the midst of all chaos, tell them, I am sent me. You have to tell every last one of those conformed thoughts, that egotistical mind, every time it comes into you and tells you something. Oh, this is too hard, or this is this. Life is hard. No, no, no. Those belong to you. Tell them I am sent me. I am didn't send me here to endure all that. I am did not send me here. I am would not have made me consciousness if I am wanted that to happen to me. I am would not have made me a genetic code if I am wanted that to happen to me. No, conformity wanted that to happen to you. The world's beliefs wanted that to happen to you, but not your state of being. Your state of being didn't want any of that for you. Why? It made you mind over matter. And it even made you greater than that. It made you the trinity of mind over matter. So you feed life. You got the power of life and death. And that's where you got to start renewing yourself. You have to start renewing the memory cells that the world has placed in you, taught to you, conformed in you, bleeded and bred and inoculated and immunized in you, taught in you. Everything of the world is to keep you out of God's promise. And I apologize to everyone for this. If that's all I can say in my life or anything that I've done to anybody, it was not that I've tried to hurt anybody, harm anybody, or do anything against anybody. I was bred. I was branded, just like an animal. See, when we operate as human nature, we operate in the animalistic mind. And as long as we operate in the animalistic mind, our cellular nature will always be in fight and flight mode, beloveds. And this is why we have the carnal mind. This is why we have the sinful nature. And this is why we have the deadly plague against the very fabric of existence. No other reason. There's no other reason. And this is why we kill, steal, and destroy everybody. Every day somebody is trying to kill, steal, and destroy somebody's fabric of existence. This is why it says, judge ye not, beloveds. It's telling you, you can't judge your own immunity. If you a body, I'm a body, we're both the same immunity. You can't judge me. I can't judge you. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. In the midst of all chaos, you must remember who you are, who you belong to. Before a word became flesh, it was something greater than the word. The word is just like before the cell became the body. That's the word becoming flesh. You got to know who you are. You were greater than the word, and you were greater than the flesh. You were greater than the cell, and you were greater than the body. You got to be the head, never the tail. If you operating in a world where everybody is the tail, you'll never get to God. You'll never get to heaven, because the kingdom of heaven lives within. You got to be so powerful in your own immunity that your immunity tells you, tell them, I am sent to you. No, sweetheart, today we're not operating in that. Your own mind got to be more worthier than you. Your own heart got to be more desirable than you and what the world has taught you. Everything in you must be high enough in you to command you. No, not today. In the midst of all chaos, I don't operate in that realm. I don't operate in those dimensions. I don't operate in that mindset. It's about you, beloveds. It ain't about that world. Those naysayers, those haters, those people who want to judge you, those people who want to tell you this, and that because they want to be stuck in that land of the lost, you let them stay out there and be bottom feeders and the least. But you tell yourself every day before you step out that bed, you communion with your soul. You communion with your heart's desires. You communion with your peace. You communion with your renewed mind. You communion with only the things in which God has already given on to you. And God came to give us life and life abundantly. But the world said, no, we don't give you life and life abundantly. We give you handouts. We give you what you believe. And what you have been taught to believe has nothing to do with your biological state of being, your biology, or your science. Nothing. So all you're going to get is what they believe you deserve. And if you want to settle for less, so be it done. You have that right. Just remember, everything that we do against an elemental kingdom, it comes with a price. It's called karmic debt or sin. So when it comes to you, you always got to be the head. Always. You will never, ever, ever not be held accountable if you honor yourself as the tail. Number one, you are a law. You are a living law. That means that you let that law stand accordingly in you at every present moment. And you don't let anything shake you outside of that law. Once you got that law on your side, all things will be added on to you. That law brought you here. That law chose you. That law knows you as well as it knew you in your mother's womb when it grew you into an eye, a nose, a mouth, a hand, a leg, an arm. That law was creating you into its beautiful substance of life. So you got to let that law work so accordingly in you, so humbly in you, that it will direct your ways. It will not lead you anywhere but in its dominion. So in the midst of all chaos, beloveds, remember who you are. Remember who you are. That chaos is just a figment of your imagination. Why? Mind is over matter. And anytime that mind is over matter, you control it. So it's time until you can get out of that conformity. And a lot of people think getting out of conformity or getting out of the world is taking yourself out of the world. No, the world, the world is already yours. You taking yourself out of the conformity of the world, which means the spells that you have been placed under. Many people don't know they out there casting spells. They out there doing dark magic. They can't comprehend what they doing. And then they tell people like myself, I'm doing something that's not worthy. I'm following the law. This mind is a law. I don't have to play with dark magic. I don't have to spell. I'm the law of the land. God has already given me dominion. And just like he's given every last one of you guys dominion, but you just choose. You keep choosing Barnabas. You keep choosing the world. You can't choose the world. The world is a figment of your imagination. Why am I going to choose something that's not? I serve a living God. I want a living God to sustain me. I don't want no figment of an imagination to sustain me. Then death, sickness, sin, oh, they waiting for me to open up my consciousness to them. They waiting to use me as their vessel. They waiting to use me. And if death want to use me, death come with a karmic debt. Do you understand that? You the vessel. Do you want those things using you? Do you want those things entering your vessel? Pay attention to in the midst of chaos. Remember what chaos is. It's a word that becomes flesh. And it got to enter a vessel in order to become flesh, beloveds. So in the midst of chaos, remember, I don't operate on that dimension. I don't operate in that mentality. I don't operate in that existence. You got to remember who you are. Tell them I am sent me. Tell them. Because all it is a word. Somebody is allowing these words to control their Holy Spirit. I don't use my spirit to conjure up deities and demons. I use my spirit as life and life abundantly. So if no one has told you today, beloveds, you got to know how freaking valuable, royal, obedient, abundant, prosperous, and sustainable you are every present moment of this mind's consciousness. Once you get there, you will never look back. You don't want to be a pillar of salt. There's too many people out there just crumbling in the midst of chaos, and it's not real. Have an amazing day, beloveds.